Gary, let's maybe start with a small introduction each. Tell us what you do in life, tell us what your connection to street art is, and tell us why you are here, actually. Gary, how about you?
Hi, I'm Gary McKay, also known as Gazmac. I'm from Glasgow in Scotland. I started a venue with a friend 20 years ago called SWG3. It's a multidisciplinary arts complex. It's now a complex. It was an old industrial warehouse on the Clyde side in Glasgow. 10 years ago, I decided through our expansion and my love for graffiti that I would create a festival. And that I created Yardworks Festival along with my friend Andrew Fleming Brown, and celebrating its 10th year like Oostende this year. It's went from strength to strength, supporting disadvantaged backgrounds. We've built a purpose-built graffiti studio on the property. That we run employability programs, we run artist mentoring programs, we put artists through iPath, that's scissor lift, cherry pickers, etc. We do educational workshops on a regular basis. It's became quite a job over the years now. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell. That's the past 20 years in a nutshell.
Okay. I've read on the research you're representing the grassroots of street art. What should I think with that? What does it mean?
I think the grassroots from street art, I have a strong belief in, especially, I would say especially in the UK. I don't know about the rest of Europe, but it normally transcends from graffiti, from the tagging, from the little kid from that neighbourhood. Obviously, more and more street artists are coming from an academic background, and there's a whole mix now, and they're rubbing shoulders. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But we're taking these guys at a very young age. They can be problematic. We are taking them from local authorities will hand some of these lads over to us that are getting in trouble, tagging up their neighbourhood, getting done for trespassing on railway properties, etc. And we'll try and give them that safe space, as well as that safe space. That works in other ways as well as encouraging women and young females to come into the scene. They find it really, really difficult to try and walk the streets of Glasgow and easily find a wall somewhere, because it can be quite intimidating for them. Yep. So we've really been instrumental in, I think this year we've got a third of the artists painting at the festival are women. Yep. So we've been really instrumental in encouraging that as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So bottom up. Ted, you're a bit different in that one. You're from the policymakers. Yeah. Go ahead, this is your moment.
I'm Ted. I'm the policy person of Stadscuratorium Amsterdam, which translates as city curators, and we kind of started 7.5 years ago. I haven't been there 7.5 years, but it started 7.5 years ago to kind of give advice to the municipality or the council about art in public spaces. So it is external advice, it's like curators, art historians, artists themselves who kind of give advice, like unsolicited, bigger advices, but also in smaller projects in the city. And at the end of last year, we published a report or an advice called City as Canvas, ? Is the city a canvas? About this topic, kind of between the tension between local residents having influence over their neighborhood and artistic autonomy and kind of exciting works. How do you stimulate art, but also how do you make rules around it or not? Or that is the question. Also because recently, like a few years ago, there was a Environment and Planning Act, Omgevingswet in Dutch. And that was newly instigated, but what did that mean for murals? And that's also what the advice is about, kind of how do you kind of make that process go well? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So we have grassroots, we have policy, we have organizers. Daniel, tell me.
Well, my name is Daniel. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm one of the founders of the street art festival All Caps in Rotterdam. We started 15 years ago with producing art in public space in the city. And we started 9 years ago with organizing a festival. Difference between a festival and like normal mural production is that it's like a pressure cooker of street art. So it's like 20 murals at the same time, all the artists painting at the same time, 20 lifts, guys driving around, making sure everybody has their paint. So, so we started that 9 years ago. This year will be our 9th edition. And what we do is we try to bring art to neighborhoods where art isn't vanzelfsprekend. I don't know. I don't know that. So we tend to work on the outskirts of the city, where the people who live there, they don't normally go to the museum. We work in those places or in those areas to get the people who do visit museums on a Wednesday or on a Sunday to go to those neighborhoods and not only enjoy the art but also enjoy the people who live there, the neighborhood. And we hope it's like vice versa. So we try to work on the stereotypes. Like the people who go to the museum, they have a stereotype thought about the people who live there. The people who live there have a stereotype thought about the people who visit museums. And we try to bridge that gap a little bit using art.
Is it working?
Yeah. Yes, it is. We're going into a 9th edition. Everybody's always happy when we arrive, when we start working. Last week, somebody asked me, like, "Yeah, but how do you get those permissions? Like, how do you know where you're going next year?" And we actually have like a luxury position where neighborhoods or parts of the city, they pull on us like, "Okay, so you're finished, right? Like, come our direction now, please." So I think until 29 or 30, like I already have places where I can go.
Oh, wow, that's nice. So I've heard musea, I've heard the streets, I've heard plenty of things. Maybe it's good to start with what is public space, because I've heard some of yours have been in prison or taken by police, probably because of violating the definition of public space then. What is public space and to whom is it public?
That's a good question. It's a good question, especially in Glasgow. You know, what is public space? What we have been active in Glasgow, myself and other groups, in achieving spaces, safe spaces for artists to practice, and those being traditional graffiti areas that have been run down with the graffiti. And through our endeavours and working with those artists, improving the artwork and actually creating spaces through this. So as opposed to being a blight on the city, old railway arches that are adjacent to the land that we own, we've painted all them. Now we have Japanese tourists passing on open-top buses taking photographs of these now, you know. And it's a mixture of street and graffiti. There's underpasses, and rather than being intimidating spaces, we're creating proper colours, etc., and brightening these places up, changing the lighting. So we're making these safe avenues through neighbourhoods as well. What is public space? What is doable? We have so many gable ends in Glasgow because of the tenement buildings. And we're on this sort of venture to create gateways into these different neighbourhoods. Glasgow has so many little neighbourhoods. We call it housing schemes. And we have a lot of problems in actually trying to achieve that. We have a city centre mural trail. I think most cities have that now. But we find there's a monopoly on safe art within those mural trails, you know. Whereas when you go to the ones that are organised by Yardworks, by us guys, by the certain groups that are involved with us, you find there's a more diverse and even a diverse attitude to that as well. You know?
And why is that?
Some people love it, some people hate it. But if you look at the history of these spaces and you show them what the improvement has been, you know, you've got let's say the worst of graffiti writers cleaning up their paint after them, to look after the area, to make sure they don't get jailed by the police in order that they can paint there. You've then got the council putting QR codes on the wall. They're not vandal proof, but they put these QR codes up. And we asked them to do that to prove to the public that they were behind us. And that takes them onto an external site and gives them some information on that and why they're doing that. And they can also see the before and after.
Oh, yeah.
And that's quite a good idea as well. And it stops those arguments on the street that the artists themselves can always turn around and say, well, scan the QR code or go to this website and you'll find out why we've done this. So that's obviously a good way around it, you know.
Yeah, okay. How do you look at it, Ted, from a policy perspective? Is every inch of Amsterdam public space?
Well, definitely not. But I was thinking about the question, and I would say the big difference between art in public spaces or murals or painting in public spaces and like in private spaces is that councils have something to say about it. So there's procedures and rules, and there's lots of people see it as their space. So you share it with a lot of people, and other people can say something about it, also kind of complain or really like it. And that is the difference, I think, between kind of private and public spaces pertaining to kind of, if you're talking about like art.
And how do you make sure that definition is known by everyone in Amsterdam, for example? Because I can imagine some artists do not respect your idea of a public space.
Yeah. I don't think it is known what the exact definition is. I think it is also not always clear, because there's a lot of we deal with a lot of cases where an artwork is, for example, given to a station, but then it's on the grounds of the gemeente, of the municipality, and then it's a kind of who does the caretaking of this artwork. So it is often not very clear who the public space belongs to. And I think that is one of the conversations that also around murals needs to take place, because I think everyone that kind of uses a public space daily is like a part owner or even like a part stakeholder in that space. And I think that is what kind of is important to think about.
Oh, interesting. Do you think we can solve that tension field with festivals?
We try our best. The festival particularly is a nice way to communicate and teach people about what's possible in public space. If you produce one mural, then you can only work with one artist at a time, and then this is what the people, the passers-by or the people living there, that's what they get. That's what they get. They get one artwork, and maybe they don't like it. During the festival, you're working with 10, 15 artists at the same time, and we always try to curate from surrealist to abstract and everything in between. So people, if they don't like something, we can say, okay, but if you walk one street further, there might be something that you do like. And of course, sometimes people are sad. They're like, oh yeah, my favorite artist, he's 20 minutes walk from my house, but still they understand like more about what art is, like what different styles or genres you have within the arts, and it makes them look at the public space differently.
Yeah.
Because if you do one work, it will always feel very top down. Somebody decides like, okay, this is the artist, and you're just gonna look at it and.
You're touching an interesting topic, like what if they don't like it? Let's park that one for just a second now. If you're over-regulating street art or public space, is street art still sexy? To watch and to do and to create?
I think it loses its soul a little bit.
Because I have the discussion with Joe that street artists are declining less and less. Mm-hmm. Could that be a reason that it's not that sexy anymore because it's legal?
Well, I think there is a distinction. Well, what we see is a distinction between like commissioned murals, street art that are kind of unauthorized interventions, and graffiti like tags, which are also unauthorized. So I think yes, murals might be less sexy because they're commissioned and regulated in some sense. But there is a lot of like there are still artists who do kind of unauthorized interventions. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think also is the job of the curator to try and keep it sexy by curating interesting artists, and also like during our festival we have like murals. That's what the people know us from, right? But we always have like minimum of 2 intervention artists. We give them an orange vest and a bike, and they just cycle around the city. And then sometimes they ask me like, okay, so where is my spot? No, your spot is where you think your work works the best. Mm-hmm. And that's without authorization. Yeah. And because I think it used to be different, it's going to change. It's going to change in the future. It will never be like it used to be. But we always try to keep a little bit of that energy of intervention without permission alive.
Yeah, yeah. I think the financial side is having an impact on it. You are getting academics coming through and entering into street art. At what point does it lose its title street art and just become art on the wall?
Yeah, interesting.
I'm a great believer in that, because I'm finding that we have a really strong art school in Glasgow, Glasgow School of Art. Before it burned down, that was. But we have that strong art school background, and I'm finding through my own experience and through running the studios at SWG3 that artists are hopscotching from a fine art graduate straight onto a wall because social media, they can find it's a fast route to get their art recognised. They can get a quick following off the back of that. So at what point then does that become street art? Is it just because they're taking fine art and putting that on a wall? Or, you know, where's it? There must be a fine line there somewhere, you know?
But should there be a difference?
I don't know. Should there?
Why shouldn't there be?
Well, okay, so my personal opinion is I work with all artists, like any artist, if the end result is good. I don't really care if you used to paint the subway in the 1980s in New York, or you just did the academy, you graduated, and your workspace got too small for you. And then, because if you're a painter and you did the academy, and somebody commissions you a work of 2x3, everybody in the artwork is like, oh wow, that's big, because it's a guy with a really big mansion that can put up a 2x3. But for us, like 2x3s, it starts counting like 100 square meters plus, and that's still like small sizes for us. So yes, it's a different background, but they both had to overcome challenges to get to that public space. So I think like they both earn equal respect, and like the way I try to overcome that obstacle is to treat them the same way and pay them the same wages. It's not like the guy with the graffiti background is like, okay, you don't have the education, so you're not going to get the same money. And that's what we communicate with both those artists. And actually, I don't really care about, so I'm just like, okay, everybody's getting the same fee. This is the day fee. This is the formula. This is how we calculate what you earn on this project. And
that raises the question, does everybody has the right to be a public artist? I can't pick for shit.
In my opinion, yes.
Yeah. And can they do whatever they want? Because what is art?
In my opinion, yes.
Yeah. Do you feel the same? Does Amsterdam feel the same?
So it depends on which location. So there's different, like rules-wise, there's differences between, like in Amsterdam, we have a very classical city center. There's different rules than in the outskirts of the city, and basically, kind of, I look at it from a policy perspective. But like the rules are, if the owner of a building is okay with it, you can paint it unless it has a protected heritage status. Yeah. And normally, an owner of a building wants you to paint there when you're like have an Instagram account and have paintings done previously. So anyone can do it, but does it happen in reality? I'm not so sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I think even though I raised the subject there of that financial side and art coming into street art, that I think the whole social media thing, before that there was no rules. Is that right, Dan? There was no rules in who put up what, you know? Whether that was stencil art, whether that was paste-ups, it was still street art, and those rules did not apply. There was no rules. It was the same with graffiti. There's no rules, you know. There's spoken rules, you know. There's certain things there.
And do we have them now?
By. They're still there. They still run deep with the OGs, except the purists.
Yeah.
You know, you get that whole battle between graffiti and street art. You know, but. I don't think there should be any rules, you know. I think, and that's where it stops being sexy as well. Yeah.
Maybe, and a lot of cameras though. It's easy to get caught nowadays. I'm interested though in who decides on those rules. Do you just go on ChatGPT, or do you ask the artists? Do you ask, how do you come to those rules? Like, okay, the heritage rules is a clear one, but. Who decides how's the process for that?
It depends. The rules are kind of national government decided, but just wanting to kind of say that we are not in favor of making more rules. We are in favor of making awareness about what it involves making a mural in a public space or commission bigger work. Because of like out of the practice we see that if you are not aware of, like, if artists are not aware, or like local council workers who work with artists are not aware of like what it involves, and like afterwards like some people can complain and then it needs to be taken away. And we have like recently and last year we had 2 examples of Noosh, who made Pink Dream on a student flat, like after the kind of the people living across the street from it, they decided that they didn't want it, and she had to paint it over. And there's some great pictures of her painting it, which is really sad. And then we have another example, very very close to it, by Niels Westergaard, and he made like the shipper, and that also needed to go because someone on the other side of the water didn't like to look at it, and she said it interfered, like the owners of that apartment said it interfered with her living quality. So it is not like that there should be more rules, but I think if you're making things in that public space, like these, from practice, we know you need to think about certain things, and that is what our advice last year was about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Niels is gone, or it's
Niels,
going?
Niels still stayed.
Niels stayed, right?
Yeah. So the city district, Stadsdeel Center, decided to let it stay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And on what basis?
They thought the measure of taking it away was not proportionate to the kind of the consequences of her living quality.
Yeah.
But she can still kind of then complain against that decision.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I do think that's a huge tension field. The public space, what happens in public space, who can complain, who can't. We had it in Brussels as well with Bonhomme. Bonhomme, he makes very intense murals. One of them was a depiction of the torture in Guantanamo Bay, for example, or he has like huge genitals that he blasts up on walls, etc. Where's the line? Because it's public space, of course. Does he need permission for that, for something like that? How does it work? How do you see that?
Glasgow has a sectarian problem. You know, the Protestant Catholic thing.
Oh, yeah.
We have that in abundance. The Rangers and Celtic problem. You know, just recently, 2 or 3 weeks ago, they were on the park together. It was very publicised. Battling again. It's on the rise again, with the extreme left and extreme right.
Yeah.
We try our best, especially at Yardworks, to try and stay. We call it Switzerland. We try and stay Switzerland, and this is very difficult to navigate in Glasgow. We can't go into a community and paint an all green mural or an all blue mural. It's that sad.
Yeah.
You know, it's that shallow.
And where are these rules written? Is it written? Is it known?
You have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it, and it's appeasing the public. It's appeasing public opinion. Whether those opinions are extreme on that side or extreme on that side, you have to be very, very careful of that on the west coast of Scotland. To this day, it's not. You know, I don't mean you're going to get a bullet in the post or anything like that. You know, but you may well find that someone comes along with a douse of paint and throws it over the top of. If it's green, they'll throw the blue paint over the top of it, or they'll think it's religious in some sort of way, because it's a very small way of thinking. It's a very small-minded thinking.
Yeah.
You know,
So you have the unwritten rules, decency.
Yeah, successive
morality.
governments in Scotland have tried and failed through anti-sectarian programmes, etc. You know, but it just runs deep, especially in Glasgow. You know,
I can imagine.
That's our own local problem we do have there. You know, but as far as the other political during the festival, I did ask that. Feelings were really high with Palestine, etc. And I did ask that, look, if there is any messaging, please don't be right. You know, can we not spell it out? You know, if you want to paint with green, red, and black, maybe paint watermelons on the wall. Yeah, that sort of thing is acceptable. You as an artist should be allowed to express yourself.
Yeah.
In that way.
How do you look at it, Ted? Do you look at it the same way, or should an artist be able to do whatever he wants because it's an artist, or?
Well, I thought you also wanted to say something, but
sorry. Go ahead.
That's fine. I think So we have yes. Essentially, yes. It should be possible because. As government, we shouldn't interfere with political expressions, and we need to keep that open. Especially when it becomes political, I think gemeente Amsterdam or municipality is very wouldn't be so quick to kind of take it away.
Yeah. What is the limit? Do you know?
Sorry?
Is there a limit? I can imagine commercial work, of course, but.
Yeah. So if it involves brand names, then it's not seen as art.
Yeah.
And then you have different rules surrounding that. Yeah.
Okay. Daniel, what's your opinion on this one? What's the limit?
What's the limit? I think the limit is the thought behind the work. If we say we are producing art, then there should be artistic freedom for the artist. But let's say you're doing something on purpose to upset the people living there. I think then you're missing the point of working in public space. And what we often, somebody once told me, like, yeah, you're not curating real art because you've never had an artist with paint two kissing guys. Yeah. I've curated those artists, and I've never said you cannot paint those two guys kissing. But once they start working in public space and they do their research on the neighborhood, they decide to not paint it themselves. Mm-hmm. So I don't say they can't, but I also cannot make them paint something which I think, oh yeah, that would be very nice. Mm-hmm. Wall of two guys kissing. So it has to be with the choice has to be with the artist. Like the artistic freedom, I think, is most important, and that's when you always get the best work. Mm-hmm. By not pressuring them into something.
Yeah. But let's say, for example, the bonhomme, which is flavor for sure, but yeah, it's a genital on your building. I can imagine a lot of people don't want to see that. Who decides when it should go down? Is it the artist at some point that says, okay, this is too much controversy, let's take it down? Or is it just the one neighborhood liver who can do this?
It depends on the, like legally what you can or cannot do. Yeah. Like for me, for us in the city, I know the people who decide what goes up or has to come down are the people who are owning the building. If you're living across the building and you don't like what they are painting on their building, it's tough luck for you, because legally you cannot do anything. Like, they don't have to listen to you.
And morally?
Morally, depends on how much you like your neighbor. Yeah. But true. No, like, I think our third edition, no, our second edition. Like, you do the festival, people are working all week, and at the end of the week, we do like big vernissage party with some food and some music and some like performances, and there's tours, and it's free for everybody. But then I also have to do meetings with the firemen, with the police, with the city, like safety measures. And in a second year, like, you do evaluation, right? And the policeman at the table is like, oh yeah, it was a very good edition. We only had 21 calls, but there was 21 calls in 5 minutes, but it's the old lady that always calls for everything. Yeah, so it's 21 complaints, but officially for me there were no complaints. Mm-hmm. And if you have that lady that dislikes everything, yeah, okay. Yeah. Like, legally you have to have a majority of 70% that likes it. And if you're one of the 30%, it's tough luck. All right.
Ted, you had something to add, or?
Yeah, we have an example of a Rombout Omens mural in Amsterdam. It was female genitals exposed, and people threw paint over it. Mm-hmm. So the artist himself decided, well, I'll kind of pixelate it. So that was like the solution in that case. But there was no rules governing it or anything.
Did you ever take a piece down?
No, the piece is still...
Did you ever a piece?
Did we ever have to take a piece down?
Yeah, ever.
So I think recently we have asked, there's a building in in the north of Amsterdam, and we've asked, a person has complained about the mural because it's not like, there's a very specific architecture of the building, and the person, also a lady, has asked, well, this is not in line with the protected heritage status or of the viewing quality of the building. So could that be taken down? And we've had to our advice was, yes, she's actually right. And so we're now talking to the organizers who are in that building, because it's like a bar/club who are in there, like, can we make a new mural that does fit more in line with the lines also of the architecture?
Yeah.
So,
is there the three of you? When does a piece have to stay up? The other way? When does it become part of the heritage or the neighborhood or the people or the culture even?
Yeah. Well, there's another example that we had of Roland Schimmel, Duizend Zonnen. Is a piece I really like. It's kind of, if you look at it, it's like white with black spots, and it's like looking at it in the sun, and it's on the Vinkenstraat, which is translated as Finch Street, and the people living across from it said, it's been there for 13 years. It was made with the participation of the neighbors, but then 13 years later, now some people want it gone. But we said, no, we really like it. They suggested, can we put a finch up there? And that is also interesting. It's like when you have residents participate in or decide what should be on the walls, often you get like animals or hyper-realistic works or whatever, which in some sense, it's like, it's not bad to have that, but you don't want every wall to have that. So in this sense, in this particular example, we kind of said, no, this is a work that also won a street art prize back then. It's a really kind of important work. We want to maintain it, and rather than like changing it, we should kind of explain or have some like other ways of involving the neighbours with the work.
Yeah, we recently had one in Glasgow by Smug that had to be taken down. It was rendered over the top of, but that was just, they needed to fix the building basically, you know. But in the public seeing that and not understanding that, there was an absolute outcry. How dare you take this away? You know, it was a mural for the historic Glasgow maternity hospital, and of a mother and a child. Apparently, it is getting reinstalled. And they're trying to do that as fast as possible because of the public outcry on that. I think they do. Public, we've been doing a lot of murals in the Govan area of Glasgow. It's quite a disadvantaged neighbourhood, part of it is. And the ownership already of those murals, they're very, very proud of. They've actually even wrote a song about a couple of the murals as well through the community. It's quite bizarre how quickly people take ownership of them and take that from the artist. You could ask half of these people who Jera or JK's is, or Jack's from, they couldn't tell you where he's from, but they've really taken ownership of those murals in the city. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good thing. One last controversial piece, maybe in Ghent. We had in the graffiti straatje, the street dedicated to graffiti, where you can legally do whatever you want. We had a huge picture of a student who died in a student baptism thingy, but the artist painted the names of the perpetrators next to it. In his opinion, he was fighting the legal system because he thought the legal system was unfair because he was of a different origin, etc. So it's a political message, but it's kind of illegal. You can't just post.
Was it commissioned?
No, it wasn't commissioned. What to do with that one?
There's the rules we're speaking about. There's no rules, and that if it wasn't commissioned, it's street art. I suppose they can do it.
What he does is actually illegal. Because he shows the names. Is that okay then, if not?
Morally?
True. Absolutely, that's the question. So what do you think? Should we remove it?
Well, maybe do you have a particular thought on this?
I don't know. I think privacy is something very important. But I also don't know. Like, I'd like to speak with a guy. Like, okay, so why do you think that the privacy isn't important enough to keep them private? Like, why? So.
But you would at least go for the conversation first, or?
Of course, I would go for.
Yeah.
I think conversation is like communication. Conversation is you can figure out like most of the problems with conversation. So I would always like to go like have a talk at least, instead of pointing the finger like, oh, yo, you didn't respect, or this is not by law, so we take it out. Like, so what is the reason? Why are you, even if I don't agree with the way you go about it, like, at least try to make me understand it.
Yeah.
And then I can try to make you understand, like, maybe try to do it a different way, or you totally convince me, or like, oh yeah, right, fight the power.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. What if half of them says yes and half of them says no? I'm just
Come on.
Yeah. Who's the ultimate decider? The artist then, or?
I think for us, when we produce art, there's a contract with the owner of the building. We mostly say after 5 years, the pigments start losing their strength a little bit. So sometimes, like we saw in the introduction movie, some works, they fade away gradually, and then it's up to the artist, the owner of the building, and the party that commissioned the work to discuss with each other. Okay, what are we going to do with it? Are we going to restore it? Are we going to take it away, or should we give it to another artist, or like what are we going to do? But conversation is a very important one in this process.
Yeah. How do you stimulate conversation?
Well, by, I think, making people aware of these issues. That's what we've tried to do, at least, because it is in Amsterdam. It has been in the news a lot, like kind of public reactions to murals. And so we had an event where like more than 100 people attended, where we discussed all the topics surrounding kind of murals and all to do with that. And so, as in big cities, municipalities are very big, so we also try to kind of give instructions to all the different services and departments of the municipality that deal with murals, and kind of hand them over the expertise to kind of, what do you think about? And I think if you then, like we have actually, we were discussing it, we have a 35 question checklist of all the things involved that you need to think about before making a mural. And I think something like that can like be a good conversation starter, discussing kind of when something is put up. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like artistic autonomy is really important. But like for the question of, is it going to be there, and what is the theme of the artwork going to be? I think there should be some sensitivity that it is a public space. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I would like to thank the panel. A random applause, please, for Ted, Daniel, and Greg.